Okay, the time is 5:31. We'll call the meeting to order. And over here, the three commissioners, the chief, Kathy Tobine, the secretary, and deputy chief Robinson. And I guess the first thing on the list is correspondence.
Well, if you could read
Huh?
tonight's meeting may be attended.
What do you mean, this here?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Tonight's meeting may be attended by the public either in person or by joining at https://www.uberconference.com info by calling in 1-885-887-3318. Public comment may be made by either in person or email. If you are present at the meeting, please wait and be recognized by the chair. Once you are recognized, speak into the microphone, state your name, address, and make your comment. If you are joining the meeting by conference, call in and wish to comment, please email your comment to comment@tnfd.org. If your comment to be read during the meeting, be sure you include your name and address in your email. Okay, and the first thing on the list is correspondence, and it says Kate's email, 9/9/01/2002. Is that it here?
No, I didn't include it. I didn't have it.
Okay. I don't have it either. Is there anybody that knows what he's...
I have it
I
here.
think he emailed us, didn't he?
It was read that night, but...
Yeah, but I thought he emailed us too. Hold on.
Is it the one we read last time you read?
It's when I read that night, the special meeting.
Yeah,
We read it out loud. Kevin Waldron delivered it on his behalf.
yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
So we had some concerns in that one. I'm gonna see if I can find it too.
That's not, let's see. Was it forwarded to us?
He had concerns about the SAFER grant. I know that he's had some other concerns then.
His first concern was why the duly elected clerk is not at regularly scheduled meetings and performing the duties and responsibilities of our office in accordance with Article 3, Section 3 of the Tilton Northfield Fire District bylaws.
And I believe we addressed that quite a few years ago.
We did. The bylaws correlate to the towns, to the state's RSA, and her duties are basically for the district meeting and the minutes thereof, and the public hearings, and the minutes of the public hearings for that stuff, not regular monthly budget or any other meeting.
And do we have, because I'm sure he's going to ask, do we have the article of the RSA that we looked into in the past, just for record?
It's in the bylaw, I believe. Did we?
It is in the bylaws.
Okay. Just, I'm sure that's going to be a question he's going to ask, so if we have...
We've been asked that before a couple times, actually, I think, and
Yeah, so-
we addressed that.
You don't see, like, Cindy doing the minutes at the selectmen's meetings. It's the same type of thing.
Right, but a question was asked, so as long as we can cite where it is.
Yep.
then-
All right,
it was
hold
in-
on.
And I know you're looking. But that way we cite it as well.
Yep.
The bylaws are right. The bylaws are right on our website,
Yep.
and
I think it's chapter 3.
under
Section 3, Article 3.
right. It's under district, right at the top under bylaws, and let's see. It is on
Page 3.
page 3, and it states the clerk shall perform all duties of the district's meetings and business affairs pursuant to RSA 52:8 semicolon RSA 41:16 period. The clerk shall perform such other duties as are generally associated with the office.
So that sites where the clerk is not at our meeting,
Right.
because she's not as part of that. So that answers the question and the reason why. I know another question he brought up is,
Why am I attending meetings and providing advice regarding warrant articles, meeting structure, and applicable RSAs?
And I thought we addressed that at one time that we discussed, because Kathy is, she handles a lot in the department there. She probably knows more than, the chief would have to contact her probably a lot of times to find out information. So we thought it would be best for her to be here, so she could answer some of the stuff. When it comes to some of the, I don't know, what do you want to call it, insurance or anything like that,
She
any
deals
of the
with
small things.
All the HR stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
stuff, she has confidential knowledge that I don't even have
yeah.
about employees, because it's not my job to have that, and I'm not supposed to have confidential
okay,
material. So,
You said she's part of the administrative team, then if you didn't, then you would have to ask questions, put them in writing,
Yeah.
get an answer from her, hold it over the next meeting.
Yeah.
and then another part of that question was, is she being paid to be here?
yes.
Yes.
That was,
He said that he's been sending more emails and stuff,
oh,
but that's just a part of that same
Why
question.
don't we have those emails?
You can have it.
Well, no, I'm just saying, if
It
he's,
just came today,
oh,
blasted me with it again today, asking if she's being paid to be here.
Oh, she is. I mean, it's obvious.
I thought you said that we got an email. You know,
I'd rather he send them to everyone else and leave me out of it.
Any other questions you had on there?
regarding the FEMA grant for funding additional full-time firefighters?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so this is long. Do you want to take each section, Okay, A, having watched the videos of the commissioners' meetings as well as reviewed the written minutes of said meetings from 3/3/20 to 7/21/20, the first discussion of a grant was on 3/3/20. At this time, Chief Seatar informed the three commissioners that grant money was available and outlined the parameters of use of said money. To summarize, Commissioner Silly stated that it should not be applied for if the budget was approved, and not to discuss it prior to or at the annual meeting, as it would muddy the waters. Commissioner Pyra stated in no uncertain terms that the grant should not be discussed until the results of the district meeting were known. Commissioner Oja stated that if other cutbacks were made, such as overtime, he would support it. The chief stated that if the grant was approved and the budget for additional personnel was not, then the grant should be declined. There was no further discussion regarding this grant until 7/21/20, at which time a member of the public asked the chief if there were going to be new hires, and the chief stated that there would not be, as the public did not want additional hires.
Say that.
So we did discuss it on 3/3. I did go back and listen to the audio today. And I did say muddy the water, which didn't sound like me, but I did say that. We did discuss it in that we figured it would be confusing to the whole thing. Also, we said we would not apply for the grant until the meeting. That was discussed then.
that was on what date, 3/3?
3/3. And then we actually did discuss it briefly on 3/12 as well, the SAFER grant. But that was, we were putting the SAFER grant on hold until we had the district meeting. And the intent was to go for the two, and then if we did get the budget for the two, then we would submit for the SAFER grant after that, after the vote. That's how when I listened to the minutes again today, is how it sounded, is that we would not put in for it until we did the two. And the intent was to get the two people, not the four. So that part was listened to today. And then at district meeting, it was voted down. And then we received the grant after that. So a question I do have on that is, when did we apply for the grant? Do we know the date?
I think it was in May.
Because that's where it causes a little bit of issue for us, because we said we wouldn't apply for it until after the district meeting. That unfortunately kept,
Well, I think when we said that our intention was that the district meeting was going to be held on March,
or April, or something.
or whenever it was originally supposed to be happening, because we postponed the meeting. Well, but we postponed originally, like, after we met in March, because I think it was on a Saturday or Sunday, we had an emergency meeting.
We did.
And we determined that we had to postpone it. And then, again, we postponed it, I don't remember when, but we had postponed it till May, I believe, or April, was it April or
We
May?
postponed it a number of times.
3 or 4 times when we
Yes.
did it.
Yeah. I think we finally had it on July 13th.
We did.
Somewhere around there.
So I think originally, when we said until after the district meeting, that would have been in March. But, you know, that didn't happen until July. So, I mean, the district meeting didn't happen until July, whatever.
So I guess I don't understand what his comment is. I mean, I don't think we did anything that we didn't say we were going to do.
I think how I perceive what he's implying, and that's just how I am perceiving, is that we were not being forthcoming to the public by withholding information and trying to get the funding from one means and then another. That's how I perceive what his statement is. It's about transparency. And he is pretty clear that it was voted down at the meeting, so we should not have gone forward after that, even though at the special meeting, the public did come out and express,
Their opinion.
yeah,
I think at the district meeting, originally, it was passed. And for whatever reason, the vote was not protected. And a member of the budget committee stated they were confused. And because when it passed by, I believe, only 2 votes, maybe 1. And then when a member of the budget committee said they were confused, a revote was taken, and all of a sudden there was a 10-vote swing in the other direction. So if originally the voting body approved 2 members, 2 new hires into the budget, that was that. And then they, because for whatever reason, I don't believe the vote was protected. So they were able to go back, and when this person said they were challenged or confused, there was a new vote taken, and it was a 10-vote swing in the negative. And that was where it was, the two hires were eliminated from the budget.
Well, the funding for the 2 hires was
Yeah.
eliminated.
Right.
And that's.
In the associated lines. I don't know what the amount was.
78,000 something.
Well, I'm saying with uniforms and
Yeah,
benefits and associated
and
lines.
then he mentioned how after the meeting, we said that a member of the public came to us and asked if we were putting anyone on, and the chief had said to that public member, we were not this year because we don't have the funding.
And we're not this
That's
year.
not in here.
And we're not this year. It's for 2021 at the earliest,
Right.
if I understand correctly. I don't know.
couldn't be able to get anybody on board before then anyways.
Ready for his next comment?
Sure.
I missed, why is he not here to ask these questions? Afraid of COVID, afraid of?
He emailed us on,
This letter was actually brought into a meeting and read, and have had multiple questions why his questions were not answered.
Okay, gotcha.
September 1st,
Gotcha.
Commissioners meeting. Okay, so the next comment was, given that the one-year cost for a single firefighter is approximately $90,000 plus equipment and uniforms, and that the grant only covers 75% of this cost in the first 2 years and 35% in the third year, the taxpayers would need to fund an additional $111,500 per firefighter over the course of the 3 years at a minimum. At the end of the 3 years, the taxpayers would be responsible for the entire cost of each of these firefighters, or they would be terminated. The likelihood of their termination is close to zero.
The only part of that statement that was correct is the last 2 sentences. Everything else in that statement was wrong.
That's because they changed the,
The no vote was amended way back. At the beginning of COVID, they changed the no vote.
And then COVID took the matching funds out of that piece of it.
So we knew that before we even, before I sent the application in.
3 years
It's 3
fully
years.
funded. 3 years fully funded.
Right.
Well, not fully funded.
Well, the first year cost of a firefighter times 4 times 3.
$925,000 and change.
Yep.
And I think we discussed this when you applied for the last one, because there was no way at the end we could get rid of them. That's why we turned the other one down. But this year, I mean, at the end of 3 years, say we can get rid of maybe 2 of them, or we could do whatever we wanted then, and it'd give us the option to do that.
Correct. Your last count, commissioners, it was trapped that you did have to maintain them afterwards.
After that, yeah.
And this one that was taken out of the piece, so.
Yeah, last year's application required you to keep them
Yeah.
on board. This year's application, even in the beginning, before they changed the NOFO, you did not have to keep them.
And part of what we discussed when we approved it is that there was going to be a letter explaining that their position following the grant was subjected to funding, and that if there was not funding, so it was made very clear, it will be made clear to applicants up front that it's not 3 years, 1 day guarantee, it's 3 years guarantee.
That's right.
And that's part of what we hemmed and hawed back and
We
forth
made that
many
very clear,
times
yeah.
to stand by.
Yeah.
So
Well, I can't say that you can say it's their position's guaranteed, because if they're not a good firefighter, then we can,
The position, not the person.
the position, not the
Right,
person.
yeah.
So then, the people that are hired from this grant may move up due to vacancies of senior positions, and so they would not lose their job if they moved up out of the 4 positions funded from COVID. If we, still have, like what we're doing right now.
Okay, ready? Given that the bylaws clearly state that the commissioners hold fiduciary responsibility as well as responsibility for developing and maintaining a department/district employment policy to the governing body, and that it does not appear as though the chief was ever given direction by the commissioners to apply for this grant, the grant award must be refused as the chief's application for said grant was beyond his purview, having not been directed to do so by the commissioners. Additionally, the governing body to which you are responsible has clearly stated that it does not approve of additional funding for additional staff. Even if the chief recognized this fact in his answer to the public question on 7/21/20.
It's in my job description, it's in the bylaws that I am to apply for grants as they become available. It's up to the commissioners to decide whether they accept it or not.
And I think this is where it gets questionable, because we said on 3/3 not to apply until after the vote. So it's just we're getting to that gray area of interpretation. So what he's saying is, when did the commissioners say submit the button? And I don't know where that is in the minutes, where I didn't catch it right off the bat. I was looking for that, in black and white saying push the button.
I have no idea.
I remember being at the meeting, and it seems like it was, go for it, and we can always say no. But again, I wouldn't know where to
The date
work.
that it was submitted was because the application period was ending and we still hadn't had district meeting. And so with the conditions of the grant, they really had nothing to lose.
Right, but the guidance that was stated in writing or in black and white on video and all that, however you want to say that, was to not apply until district meeting. So it's like shall versus should. And that's where he is going into the should lane versus the shall lane. When did yes push the button or no push the button? Because up until then, it was a do not push the button until district meeting as a gate, or did the commissioners say push the button as a separate gate independent of that? And I don't know when that was discussed. That's the interpretation of what he's trying to say with
And I
that.
understand.
That's why I asked when you submitted the thing, because so I can go back and look at the minutes a little bit tighter and even listen to them all. That's what I was trying to figure out with that.
And I don't know, we may have at one time, and I can't remember, like you said, Mike, we may have said, apply for it and we'll see what happens. And that's as far as we went. But I don't know, I can't
And
remember.
I would never swear, you
Yeah.
know.
I mean, I'm not gonna swear
That was
it
the
either.
impression I
Seems
got.
to me, it was something like that though.
Yeah.
See, if, go ahead and apply. If we get it, we'll determine what we're gonna do with it.
Yeah, it wasn't March 3rd and it wasn't March 12th, because I don't even think you were at March 12th. I think Deputy Joubert was speaking, I think that was our quick meeting. So that's why I was kind of chasing it down, but I was trying to figure out when.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was after that, because the clock was ticking and we kept pushing district meeting off, and there was a deadline.
Yes,
But I don't remember the when, the where, the how.
exactly. And that's what I'm trying to find too.
Yeah.
March 12th was a Thursday.
Right.
Election day was 2 days before that. And I think on that Saturday or that Sunday, we put something in to say, we had to have an emergency meeting to postpone the district meeting.
Mhm.
But I don't have it down as, on my calendar as a meeting, but that doesn't mean anything. I don't know.
I mean, we had one,
But that would make sense that we would have had one on the 12th, kind of like a
There was a
pre-district
meeting,
meeting.
there was a meeting on the 3rd, a meeting on the 12th, a meeting on the 15th
The 15th.
of March. And then the next one was in April.
April 6th
And I think that was the,
and 15th.
that was our district, that was our regular.
That was the regular meeting, then April 15th.
Okay,
Why
so-
did we meet on
How
this?
many meetings did we have to postpone
We had a
it?
lot,
Oh, wow.
a
So,
lot.
Well,
But some of those I read in and we didn't discuss the SAFER grant. We stuck specifically to, because Kent was at them and those were specifically to
Right.
postpone.
Right, you can skip those.
But it's, so I'm still digging through the minutes as best we can. But that's kind of what that blurb is about is. So,
All right, next. All right. Given that the firefighters must be hired within 180 days of the awarding of said grant, and that the 2021 district annual meeting may not be held prior to the expiration of said 180 days, thus not providing the governing body its opportunity to approve or disapprove of this expenditure, the grant must be refused,
in his opinion.
in his
That's his
opinion.
Right.
That is his, I'm just reading what
Yep.
his email says.
Yep.
what was the actual wording of it? It's 180 days of when we accepted it, right?
Correct.
no, 180 days from when it was awarded.
So that was August.
That brings us
20.
to February 20th, I think, is the last day they have to start working. They can actually start working after that, but the grant start date is February 20th at the latest. If we want them to start earlier, I have to go to FEMA and ask for permission to start earlier. I don't know where that's gonna land right yet. We're gonna discuss that later.
And can they be contracted by February 28th with a start date following?
Following what?
Like say, a March start,
So say
accepted a contract within the time period of the 180 days.
contract is they accepted their start, just say their start date is, let's just say March 1st because they have to give notice or whatever, work out a notice at a previous position.
I'd have to look that up, I don't know.
It's just an option to consider.
Yeah.
All right, lastly, I have deep concern with regards to what appears to be the lack of transparency, withholding information from, and manipulation of the governing body to which you are responsible by not informing the public of the availability of these funds. That's all he said.
Yep.
So not respond,
Well, it was discussed in public, on video,
so on a notice,
and in minutes, on 2 meetings.
properly noticed meetings.
Yes. Yes, we did not discuss it at the meeting because we were trying to keep the funding separate, and it would have led to a lot of confusion that we were even having trouble keeping track of. And we were trying to do the best dollar for them. If we get the money and we get the 2 people, that's fine. If we put in for it and then we could give the money back, all for it, even though some people may not believe that people would do that. I mean, once again, this is his opinion on that. I may think differently as one person, as a public and as a commissioner, but I feel I've listened to what he said.
I mean, I guess that's, I mean, he'll have to accept them for answers. I mean, I don't think we did anything that would, you know, I think we did whatever was right. And I think, you know, there again, he weren't here for all the meetings, so we didn't, I don't know if he wanted to listen to him or we listen to him or not. Whether we just got bits and pieces of it. I mean, it's,
Well, I think, you know, knowing this board and having worked for them at least a year now, transparency is not an issue with this board. It's just, it's spelled out, we communicate in 3 different ways to get the information out to people.
yeah.
That cost extra money to do, and, you know, transparency has always been, you announce the meetings, you advertise them, you do everything you're supposed to do.
Yeah, it's on tape, it's on camera, I mean, it's
Exactly.
everywhere. So I don't think we tried to hide anything.
Somebody wanted to give you $1 million. You gotta look at it. Don't be stupid. You gotta look.
I don't know, I guess if that's all he's got to say, then you'll have to accept them for, if you get any more questions, I don't, send them in, I guess.
So what I'm going to do is, I've got his email in here, and for every question, I've put your answers under it in a different color,
Yep.
Red or something.
your response,
Yep.
okay?
And I just let him know, if he's got any more questions, I mean, we'll answer them the best we can, but I don't think we did anything that was hiding anything, I mean, it's what it is. So, okay, so we done with that.
That one.
Let's try Tilton Oakdale Water District.
Okay,
I think that was in the packet.
is that in the packet?
The agreement was, I didn't.
No,
get-
I'm talking about the, okay. On September 15th, I emailed it to you all.
Yes, I remember seeing something from them
On
about the
Sep-
training.
Right, on September 15th, the Sean Chandler, the chair of the water district, sent a letter saying, due to the current drought conditions and the extra water being used due to the current pandemic, we are writing to inform you that prior authorization needs to be obtained from our superintendent, John P. Chase, before using any Tilton and Northfield aqueduct private or public hydrants for training purposes. Sincerely, Sean Chandler, Commissioner. And that was on September 15th.
Yeah. So I read that, and I'm sure that was prior to the burn, and that was part of the issue with that. Now, the burn, we had talked about at the meeting prior, and Deputy Joubert had said that everything was going to be river water or other department.
We did not use any hydrants
Excellent.
And we actually trained with the water department
last Monday.
last Monday.
For the hydrant water hammers and
With
stuff.
them, yeah, with them present.
Okay.
So, yep, that's
So I,
Duly noted, and we'll,
yep, I think we met the intent of his letter, is trying to not put more demand on their system for training. That was what I did read in that, and I was happy with that. If it said, don't use the hydrants, then you, Kathy would probably get a letter from me real quick, an email back. Or the chief would have got an email from me instantly if it didn't have the word training in there. And I can see their concern of trying to maximize resources.
Well, their water is low at the current time. And I don't think any of the rain that we've had recently is gonna be enough to recharge any type of system. And it does raise a number of questions, but we don't have a representative of the water department here tonight, so can't ask those questions.
I mean, the only other question I would have to that is how long they have that hold off on training plan. Obviously, they're gonna send us another letter, say, okay, we've had sufficient water to restock, or
Well,
They don't want us using the hydrants ever,
that's what we,
except for fires. The only training that they allow us to use for hydrant water is they bring us down to the pump house and they let us use that pressurized hydrant, which has 140 PSI at the head, which is not like any of the other fire hydrants in the district. So the training is useful, but not applicable
Not
to what we
realistic.
have to do.
we couldn't open,
Unrealistic training
we couldn't
and
open the valve.
I'm not real.
So much pressure.
There's so much pressure on it, you couldn't.
We couldn't open a valve.
what,
I don't. I would like to be able to use the hydrant at Park Street. If that's all, if that's the only hydrant we get to use for training, I'd be happy with that.
There's two, I guess I look at it two different ways. There's two ways of looking at it. We pay for that service. We should be able to use it.
yes.
How, on the other hand, if we use it, they have the option to charge us more, and we have no choice. Pay for it. So there's two options. I mean, we can play with them, I mean, play, so it works out better for both of us. I guess that would be the way to do it, I
I
guess.
think we can, that's on the agenda anyway,
It
to
is.
discuss
Oh,
later on.
Underneath,
anyway.
yes, under new
Okay.
business, further down.
yeah, I guess my only, comment is to using water is they're restricting us, but they're not restricting anyone else. And I know one of the days we had rain, I thought one of the businesses in town was blowing out their system. But since that day, I've seen that system used almost every day. So I know they're not blowing out the system. And why, so again, no one here from the water department, so I can only speculate.
So I think a question from our commissioner board to theirs is, how long is this restriction?
Well, they know, other people that use it, and I understand that a hose or a sprinkler system is not going to put the volume of water that trying to put a fire out is, but, I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that the fire department is going to question if there's a fire within the water district. They're not going to question, well, oh, we should use the fire hydrant. They're going to turn that sucker on and put the fire out.
No question at all.
It's
And-
the training portion is the question.
And in their defense, John has, the ability, and has asked us that if, in the event of a fire, if we need more water, give him a call, he'll turn the pumps on.
Right.
He'll give us all we want.
You can do it right
In the
over
event
his
of
phone.
emergency. I think his biggest concern is
Well,
disrupting the system.
Well, it was a Saturday, so it would be overtime, and they have to chase cloudy water down through all the restaurants down there. That was their
Well,
concern.
I think most of it's done on his smartphone now.
No, but no, they'd have
To
to
flush them after.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Right.
But they flush it, so. I think.
That's my only concern. I recognize what they're saying with the training, and that is great, but as you said, we are paying for a service. I understand that if we use more water, they're gonna charge us more water, but we are paying for that availability, and I think working conservatively on the training portion of it, but our firefighters need to have that understanding of the hydrants. And as you said, the one that is pressurized is not realistic.
Mhm.
Learning how to open a hydrant completely, how to shut it down properly, different applications, there's real-world muscle memory that needs to be built there, because you don't want them to not gate everything when they try opening it, real world, when they're all hopped up on adrenaline.
I think that's something maybe we ought to discuss with the water company and,
Yeah.
you know, because I think this is our last year, we got to negotiate again
You're right.
with them.
That's on the agenda down further.
So I guess we'll move on that one. And I guess there's no public comment here.
You know, the only public comment I'll make is, I don't know if anyone saw Chronicle last night, but it looked, I saw the thing on the fire, on the training burn and the public safety aspect, and I thought it looked very well done, and Deputy Joubert did a great job.
Would look a little better with a kind of a better helmet, I think.
That's the general comment we're getting.
Yeah,
I see him in that
I wasn't
helmet.
gonna say
I
it
said,
about
"Holy
comment, I was trying to.
I said,
Training.
makes it look like we ain't got any money.
I know.
Yeah.
That's what he said to me too,
It
is
is
I'm
sad.
like.
I
you
saw
know,
that and I said,
Sad
oh,
looking.
Really?
oh boy.
Unfortunately, I had zoning board, so, or planning board.
It's
so I
it's
think-
on our website.
It's on our website.
Excellent. I was gonna contact them, Chronicle or whatever,
Well, they have a YouTube channel, so you can usually go.
I was gonna follow up on it.
It's the first segment, so you don't have to watch, I didn't even watch the other segment. I put the
Yeah, I
Patriots on.
watched
I put the Patriots on.
And I appreciate being on our page, readily available too.
And Kathy. Kathy was able to figure it out today.
Excellent.
Okay, next thing is chief's report.
Okay, we'll start right up in on the budget. Again, the unassigned fund balance is $562,058. Total apparatus and equipment fund through September is
It
$670,355.50.
seems significantly higher than September.
That's the balance in the
What
checkbook.
was September?
Have to look back.
Oh,
It's right around the same. It-
No, I
give or
thought
take.
I thought we, I seem to think it started at 4 or 5, so.
September, let's see.
But it might have been just a little bit higher in September.
But I know you wrote a check for the fire, didn't you, Wendy?
The engine and the compressor and the SCBA's this year.
All right, the
Oh, that's apparatus equipment fund.
Yeah, that was, in September was $723,759.27.
That's actually, okay.
Anything else? All right. Ambulance revenue through September is $318,360.81. That's $10,425.28 more than the same time last year. We're currently 75.07% through the budget year and have expended 74.1% of the voted budget. And of course, the voted budget for 2020 is approximately 10% less than the 2019 budget. Any questions on that so far? Do you want to do the budget, the deficit versus offsets? Since we're in this section, it'll be right at the bottom of your packet. Should be the last page. There it is.
Yeah.
So, looking at the project, trying to adjust and pinch and squeeze here and there, looking at where we're going to see deficits and where we're going to see offset, and where I'm trying to offset those deficits. Down at the bottom, you'll see that right now I'm projecting about a $3,000 deficit, whereas last month we were around $16,000 deficit. So a number of factors come into play on that. We're spending a little less on call company salaries right now, but we're spending a little more on overtime. And some other things have come into play where we're not gonna have to spend money on this, but we're spending more money on other things because of just circumstances is going through the budget year. And some things haven't changed. But this is the sheet that I'm working on right now, and I think it would be appropriate, because I don't know what's gonna happen in the next 3 months. I think it would be because we can ask DRA at any time to overexpend our operating budget, and the budget committee actually has to be the signatory of that to DRA, and I would like to get that ball rolling just in case we need to do it, so we're not trying to script at the last minute. If we do not need to overexpend, we won't. Because I really want to hold to our budget, and that's been my practice in the past, and I have a long track record of that. But this year, we've had some extraordinary expenses in apparatus and equipment repairs, and again, later on in the budget, we had engine 3 was out twice for the same problem on the different side of the truck. It's just
Question?
trying to keep things rolling.
With the resignation of firefighter, which I'm assuming that's already was that effective immediately, more or less?
Yes.
Okay. So how is that going to, I guess number one, has that position been filled?
It has not yet.
Okay, so we're incurring overtime.
That's correct.
So is that going to affect your overtime line
So
that you have
this
there?
takes into account that.
Okay. How long did you project having to use additional overtime to fill before that position's filled?
Sometime in the middle of November.
Okay. So at least a month and a half.
Yeah.
So it could go, if it went, God forbid, if it went 3 months, then your overtime, then we're going to be looking at a bigger deficit.
Right. So we are saving because we're not paying his salary, we're not paying his insurance.
Yeah.
So, but we are spending more on overtime. Generally, overtime is cheaper than paying somebody, but unless that person is a probationary firefighter, overtime generally costs a little bit more at that point. So on that side, the deficit is kind of going up, but we're saving on other areas. And I'm still trying to find additional places where we can save. I can talk about that. As we go down the agenda, I can tell you some items of where we're looking at that too.
Well, I got a question following what Eric said. So we're saving a little bit in salary, but however, do you have in your budget to cover a new hire? Gear, physicals, benefits, startup, uniforms, all that. So
the uniforms, we're collecting the money to do that right now. Turnout gear, we have that in the budget. The physical is in the budget.
existing in the budget right now
Existing in
that
the
we were
budget right
hoping
now.
to not use, but we have to because of this.
That's correct.
Okay? So that's not an additional incurred cost, it's a plan for unused funds that will be used.
Right.
Okay.
It's a,
So you may have had planned for
every day is a,
$5,000 for, I'm just throwing that number
Yeah.
out there, for uniform and the physical, and then hopefully that, we didn't have to use it, but now we've had a turnover, so now we have to use it.
so we do have uniforms in stock, and depending upon what this person's physical characteristics are like, we may have enough uniforms to outfit them without having to buy new stuff. There might be a few things that we do have to buy. But I don't believe, well, I don't know. It's a checker game every day. I look and see where we're gonna have expenses that I just didn't anticipate, and, I can make savings here, and it's, every day I'm working on this to try and whittle this number down to zero. But I think the commissioners should ask the budget committee for that, to have a meeting to discuss asking DRA to overexpend, and I think by 25,000 would be a very safe number, but I don't think we'd spend anywhere near that if we had to overexpend. I think it's going to be a few $1,000s. Looking at it right now, it might be a different story 1 week from now. It might be a different story a month from now.
How long was he actually on the department?
Just short of 6 months.
So, and he weren't paramedic or anything. We never sent him to school for,
He was an advanced, firefighter to advanced EMT.
okay.
It is what it is. I hate to say that.
So the commissioners would have to make a motion or something, or ask the budget committee to meet to consider that.
Well, what do we have left of the budget committee?
Well, we are down, let's see. Jason Wright agreed to re-up. Catherine Dawson graciously offered to complete Dennis Manning's term. And Kent is trying to decide. He had 2 people asked to be on the budget committee for Waldra's position, which is up. One of them being a resident of Northfield and the other one being Kevin. So he's trying to decide what to do. So we have a full complement once he makes that decision.
Paul Blaisdell still there?
Yes,
Okay.
everybody else is
Yeah,
still there.
but, so does it have to be the budget committee that approves the budget, or does it have to be whatever the
Whatever we
whatever
have-
the current
Whatever-
budget
whatever we
committee?
have
Current
right
budget
now.
committee.
Gotcha,
Because once district meeting is over,
yeah,
that budget committee no longer exists because 2 members are automatically
gotcha.
expired.
Makes it sound bad, okay. Their terms are up.
And it's the moderator
They do, right, their
that appoints
terms are
the
up.
members of the budget committee.
Oh, the moderator does it?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, that's part of
we have nothing
it.
to deal with it.
Too bad.
Good luck, Mr. Finnemore. We should have some record.
So we should make a motion to meet with the budget committee and go over this, or,
Yeah, it could be a joint meeting.
I think we have to, because by the
Yeah.
time you coordinate everyone's schedules, it's gonna be, it's gonna be a poop show. And by the time you just get everyone, all of a sudden you're gonna be looking, I mean, we only have 90 days at the end of the year, so we have to
Less
get
than
these
that,
guys in,
Well,
we have 80 days, right? What's the date? 6.
I mean, I'm quickly just scrolling through the budget, from what we budgeted, from what we used since September. And like, we had budgeted for protective clothing, 23,000. As of this report that you,
May I, that comes out of a separate budget.
That's apparatus.
That's apparatus and
It has
equipment.
nothing to do with the operating budget.
but I'm looking through a bunch of things here. Tools, I mean, that's once again operating equipment.
But we can't use that for.
I understand that.
Okay.
But as we go through this stuff, if we budgeted this amount, and I know we can't move that to a line item to pay for a benefit, because it can't be used for that, it has to be used, if there's anything like that as we scroll through this, I mean, I'm just starting to scroll through, but I'm seeing a lot of places here where, $11,455 for Park Street Station Other, we use $3,500 of it, so there's an,
That's the bathroom.
okay.
That's not, it's in process right now.
So you have the other 7,000 plus encumbered?
It's not encumbered, but we have contractors lined up to do the work.
But what I'm saying is if we're running into a shortfall, we should be looking at any of this stuff and what could possibly be postponed before we go and asking for more money. I don't like trying to get more money from the people. They gave us a dollar amount, and yes, a lot of unexpected things of the engine especially, multiple engine and equipment things has really hurt us, but
Is this 25,000, is this through taxation, or is this taking this out of the?
It
It comes out of the
Unreserved fund balance.
unreserved unassigned fund balance, so it's,
It does not
So they've
affect
already
taxation
paid,
at all.
in a way, it's already been paid for.
right,
We're just reassigning it like at a district meeting when we pull money out of the unanticipated.
but just because it's there doesn't mean.
No, I'm not saying it's just because it's there, but
if you want me to stop doing the bathroom, I'll stop doing the bathroom and put it off for next year. But I would hope that we'd have to revisit that and re-appropriate money in next year's budget to do that, in the operating budget.
I cannot.
I'd like to see if we could do anything so we wouldn't have to go through this here, because it's kind of, and I understand that we've run into some problems with the trucks, and that's the biggest thing. But if we could overcome that and find a way so we wouldn't have to borrow the money, it would be great.
Well, it's not borrowing any money.
And well, asking for more, take money out of the unreserved.
Yeah, so I don't want to do that either, but I don't want us to get caught at the end of the year, we have to pay people's salaries, and there's not enough money in there, and we have to pay the salaries, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm asking for this permission. I don't intend on using it, I intend on doing everything I
You're trying to
can
build a
not to
safety
use
net.
it, but it should really be there. It's a good business decision to make sure it's available if we absolutely have to use it. You don't want to get caught up in an FLSA thing, but
No.
not, because we didn't have the money to pay somebody.
That's a labor department, and that's
And we've
really
already,
bad.
we've already been spoken to about that this year already. Not paying people, but the Department of Labor issue, so we're already on the radar for something.
Call salary and wages, we haven't done anything, or is that just a typo? I'm just looking through this as a quick scan, and like line 12001, it has 0, which I know you paid salaries, so that's why it's a typo,
What,
because,
where
sorry.
are you? Are you
Are you in
on,
the budget?
you in the
or,
operating budget?
This
yes,
year's?
yes,
The-
operating
I-
versus
my
actual
budget-
that you emailed out.
We paid a lot of calls.
You
I know,
have.
I know,
Confused.
because that one was, I just scrolled past, it was budgeted as 90,000,
Right, we spent
Yes.
$68,779.89
so 68,000.
through September.
Right, yep, we
Which
still have another
is-
quarter. Yep.
Right, so the call salary for September is not in this report.
Okay, all right,
That's through August.
okay, so a quarter plus a month.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, and that's a whole different thing we're dealing with, but I'm just trying to, a quick scan of looking at that. I'm cautious about doing this 25,000 request at this time.
Well, just looking at the account. We don't meet again until
November 10th.
November 10th. You have holidays coming up, and I'm sure that we're not gonna be ready for the budget committee quite ready yet for those meetings. So, we're not asking them to meet, I don't think. I think we're asking him that this is not gonna do anything, this is just or maybe we give it a thing like, if you're gonna start using any of that $25,000, you need to meet with us first, or the budget. I think it's just, he's trying to get his ducks in a row, because we don't meet again until November 10th, unless we have an emergency meeting to request,
We have a
request meeting.
budget workshop on the 29th.
Right.
The 27th or something.
The 27th.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
you have that meeting, and then you have to get together with the budget committee, and then that all has to go to DRA, so you're not looking at anything prior, chances are you're not gonna get anything prior to December anyways, and then you're pushing the envelope. And you have to meet payroll regardless.
Paul, I'm gonna dismiss myself. I'm gonna meet somebody at the house.
Okay, great, thanks.
What's up with that curve?
Yeah, thanks. You're a good guy directing.
We would have to make an appointment, well, a date to meet with the budget committee. They're the ones that are gonna approve it.
They have to sign.
They have to sign it to give you the authority to do that.
Right.
However,
They signed the request letter that goes to DRA.
so, and we have the authority would we have the authority, you come to us and say, look, I'm gonna need the money for payroll, I'm gonna have to use some of that? Or do you have the authority right then to use the money?
Once the DRA grants the request for the 25, say, whatever we say, $25,000, I wouldn't expend any of that without your consult, without consulting you. Because this is something that's, you know, it's very, I take this budget to heart, and I really try to protect it as best I can and make sure that everything goes smoothly, and I definitely want to make sure the commissioners are aware of how the finances are going and what would need to be done. If we needed to expend any of that money, you guys would be the first to know it, believe me. And this happened once before, my first year here. Recall, we did have to ask DRA because we had to pay the ambulance
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
thing out of operating instead of the apparatus and equipment fund. So we did that year overexpend in the neighborhood of $15,000. And they did give us permission for 25, but I didn't think we would need it, and we didn't. But we did go up to 15 because of that contract that we had.
$3,000 is such a narrow margin.
It really is.
But, well, you know, what if all of a sudden it's, you know, the 27th of December and you're going, Chief, we have a problem.
Uh-huh.
Or, you know, we're not able to, you know, we have to fill overtime. Because you're planning a month and a half, but what happens if it's gonna be, you know, 2.5 months of overtime?
So we have a process that we have to go through. We have a period of time where we have to accept applications. Then we have to review all the applications. Then we have to set up an oral board. And then after that, there's ride time. And then there's recommendations made to the chief, and there's the chief interviews. And then I appoint somebody, then that person has to have their physical, then they have to have their background checks. It just takes time.
Do you have anyone in the pipeline?
So
Yeah, that's right.
Is there anyone in the pipeline?
we have 3 applications right now.
Okay.
So the application period, and if, we'll see how, you know, it's going until the end of next week, the application period.
So, we lose a week, now you're looking at 10 weeks, roughly.
It's up to 2.5 months to go.
10, 11 weeks, about that. And I'm just thinking the overtime, it's Paul's favorite subject to talk about, so. I'm trying to cut out the overtime, but I also realize that you have to follow certain steps. You know, you don't want to find out the hard way that, you know, oh.
Well, it's not that, but if you have another vehicle breakdown, you have 10 grand,
Yeah.
then you're in
We're-
deep trouble.
Oh, no, I get
And I haven't
that.
even gotten the bill for all the parts and stuff that Tnfd just broke, so I don't know what that even looks like yet.
It broke again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How major?
So you know how the cab pins broke? Well,
What?
where it comes down on a ball.
Someone wants to tell me about my extended warranty.
You should say that.
That part, that holds the back end down, is what broke.
Wait, does it flip forward?
Yeah,
Yes,
Okay.
it flips forward.
Okay. So it's the back part of that?
The back part, the
fastener.
walking part.
the locking part.
Okay.
It's no way.
Walking here.
No, I just, you kind of need the cab to stay on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not a convertible.
Did you come up with any solutions there?
Yeah, sure. Unfortunately, I mean, I'm just looking through, but I'm still,
I'm in it every day, so.
I know.
Oh, we can work without heating fuel.
Over my dead body.
Plug it into electricity.
Somebody else's.
Oh, wait, no, we've used more electrical, sorry.
Right. There's pieces in there, but it's nothing solid yet, because as you said, it's gonna be a full quarter still, so even though there's a significant delta, like tools and stuff, but that isn't something we can move over in the lot. It is in the significant areas, are in the ones we can't transfer.
Right.
I fully understand that part. So,
So,
still.
what's this, what are these numbers over here, chief?
I think those are
That's
part
like
of-
it's part of this IT thing over here, it's just a breakdown of it, so I could keep it clear in my head
Yes.
how where.
Oh, I got you, okay.
Yeah.
This is really a spreadsheet with lines on it, just didn't.
No, I'm fine, I hate lines, so. Unless I'm data entry.
So I guess the best thing to do is make a motion to meet with the operating budget. Meet with the budget committee to see if we can, they can meet with DRA so we can overexpend, or if we have to, the $25,000.
Question. Should we just, is it too late, is it too long to wait till the 29th and request the budget committee to meet with us on the 29th, since we're already meeting?
On the 27th?
Sure, that too.
Our working group?
Yeah, just take the first 15 minutes to a half hour.
And then go into the working part.
And then go into
after.
our work, yeah.
Okay.
That's a long enough period of time.
That's-
But it gives us
yes.
2 months, it gives us 2 months, and by the end of October,
2
you
weeks.
should have a good idea to,
Well, the better idea.
Correct.
So you want to hold off on it?
No,
No.
make the motion and have the meeting with the budget committee,
Okay.
Projected for
6
that date.
o'clock on the 27th of October.
I'll make a motion that we meet with the budget committee on the 27th? 27th? The 27th? Make a motion to meet, 27th at 6 PM.
I got one ready.
Meet with the budget committee.
Off of somebody.
You make that sound like a motion.
Now there again, should you put in there what,
To,
Here, read that.
For the reason.
all right.
Read
The
that.
budget committee
So,
will actually.
I mean,
if
I'll
they
make a
ask-
motion to
they
meet with the
ask
budget
for
committee
what
to
it is.
recommend overspending the operating budget by
recommend.
$25,000 and meet at 6 PM on October 27th prior to our budget workshop.
there you go. Okay, the motion been made, I'll second it. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Did you say anything, John?
I said aye, yes.
Okay.
I think we said the same exact time. Did you, I heard another aye, so it was, because I was
The
like,
two of you were simultaneously, I did it prior, but it wasn't loud enough.
Yeah.
So we got that taken care of.
Mixed feelings on it, but yes, I will
well,
agree with them.
it's, the
Yes.
budget committee can say no.
Yep, I know.
It's not up to us, unfortunately.
Yep.
But then we'll have a better idea of, all right, chief, what are we gonna, we're gonna buy some whiskey, and buy some Jack Daniels, put it in the diesel, maybe we'll get a few
The
more.
sooner I know, the better it is. It gives me more time to figure out things.
Where are we?
Fire prevention report.
Yes,
Oh, that's it?
yes.
For the month of September, there were 45 fire prevention inspections. As you know, we're trying to keep the exposure limited.
I appreciate that explanation last month.
Any questions?
I have one further down.
On fire prevention
No, just a question on one of the reports. that
When we
we
get there.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where it's gonna be, but we'll just go through it.
Go ahead.
All right, the run report for September of 2020. We had 163 incidents for the month, 112 of those were EMS, equating to 69% of our total incident volume for the month. The engine responded with the ambulance to 35 EMS and MBA incidents last month, and we are 53 incidents above where we were this same time last year.
So I did read through those. For the month-wise, we're kind of pretty much on par with where we've been. We were just slightly over September last year, and just under last month. So I mean, it's still in that up and down. It varies. There was a lot more structure fires I saw in the past month. But I did see there was still like a fire alarm activation where an engine and an ambulance responded. So that's where I still keep hearing from the public why we have an engine chasing an ambulance, and I understand part of the mentality behind it because of the personnel and things like that. But it's been brought up time and time again with our engines reliability as we're dealing with why we're running them as much as we are. Why not sending someone out to check it with the utility?
A fire alarm?
No, the fire alarm you would send an engine, but why 3 people aren't on the engine? Because when I looked at that fire alarm, there wasn't like they were at another call just beforehand.
It might have been training too. I'd have to know the specifics.
Right, yeah.
Without that, I can't really.
And that's why it's just looking through this, it's just trying to minimize how often we're running that engine with one person in it. Because I know we do a lot of medical calls, not motor vehicle calls, and we're sending an engine still, in case you need that third person, and then you're dead man. That's just, it's a heartburn on the public, is the best way of putting it. And I understand the logic of some of the logic from your side of behind it, and I've tried explaining some of both sides of the logic, but it is a significant heartburn when the public sees it.
No one has ever come to me and complained about it one way or the other. You're the only one that's mentioned it to me.
I had a question, I found my question. So you're talking about unit response?
Yes.
Okay, so on, let me decipher the date here. September 13th, the call at 1526. I won't say the address, it was in Northfield. POV, privately owned vehicle.
Yeah.
What, I thought they don't take their own vehicles to calls.
I don't know the specifics of that call without.
See?
Yep. It's the one right here.
That's generally the case. They don't bring their own vehicles, but sometimes it.
That's the first time I've
Was
seen
that
it. It's
to-
the first time I've seen
Was
it.
that to Franklin?
Nope.
No.
No. I don't know where the street is, and I didn't want to bring it.
Yeah.
It was for an EMS call. I don't.
Unless the
It-
person was driving by and they got the call on their pager and they said, "Oh, I'm right here." That does happen occasionally.
I just didn't see an ambulance with it, or it just, that's the only vehicle.
Was the ambulance out on another call?
I don't know. I don't think so. Hold on. There's a call above it, and I don't know. Did you print that page? Did you print that report for us, or is it?
I sent it to you.
You just sent it through email?
Which is fine because it's a big
It's-
report.
No, that's fine. I didn't capture when I screenshotted it.
All
I
right, so
didn't.
you said September 13th.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine
Hold
with it
on.
being digital because I
Huh?
can scan it when I need
60-something
to.
pages.
Exactly.
No, I just,
I like the fact that,
when I screenshotted it, I didn't capture the full call above it. There is a call above it with ambulance 1, engine 3, and ladder 1.
Oh,
within a certain time period or like hours apart.
multiple call during building fire.
Okay.
That's why.
Okay. It looks like that might have been the fire in Laconia. Or Prospect Street.
Yes.
Well, actually,
A mutual aid
no, there was
ambulance
a, no, that's, yeah, that's,
responded. That's why it was a POV.
okay. Just making sure. Just because I know we've had that discussion before, and I'm like, they don't respond. They're private vehicles. 99.9% of the time now. So,
Any other questions on that? Moving on, overlapping simultaneous incidents. We had 29, equating to 18% of all the calls for that month. For 29 incidents, we were able to respond to 24 of them. We received 6 mutual aid ambulance responses. We responded with our ambulance one time for mutual aid. We received 3 mutual aid engine responses, and we responded with our engine one time.
only one? I thought we had a couple.
That's what's in the report, printed out.
Right, but there was, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, there was one in Franklin, there was one in Laconia.
Was it all last month? Was it in the
Yeah,
previous
there was
month?
the fire over by, I think it was in August, the fire.
One might have been in August, one might have been.
One, I know one was the ladder,
Ladder went to Franklin.
and the ladder also I thought went to Laconia.
It did the cover.
Doesn't that count as a mutual aid engine?
It should,
Yes, it should.
but depending upon how they put it in the system, it might not have counted itself.
Well, that's not very good.
When you say put it in the system, what do you mean by that?
So when they come back and fill out the report, if they have to check a box saying for mutual aid, either given or received, if they don't check that box, it doesn't go into that report. It's only when that box is checked that, like when simultaneous incidents and mutual aid given and received, if all the right boxes aren't checked when the firehouse thing is generated, whoever fills out the report, you have to check all the right boxes, or you're not going to get the right data.
So, let's play devil's advocate here. So some of these here could be wrong.
They could.
Yeah.
They could be. So so the officer on duty is supposed to go over all the incidents to make sure all the right boxes are checked. But if they're doing, sometimes, some days last month, they were doing 10, 13 calls, it's an awful lot for them to process. Especially on a weekend and stuff like that, 10 million things are going on.
But once again, if it's not getting done on that shift, it should be getting done on the next shift, because just like with EMS, if it's not documented, it didn't happen. So if they don't put it in here, then they're not getting the credit and stuff, that the attention to detail. So, and I understand some shifts are busier than others, but then their following shift, they should be going back and reviewing anything that they didn't. The attention to detail.
So, I'm going to say maybe, I don't think that the folks on the following shift don't do the Tempsus reports. They don't do the firehouse
I meant so
reports.
group one, next time group one is on, that officer go back and review his previous, so it's still within the same shift. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
understand what you're saying,
Okay.
that probably doesn't happen though, because by the time they get to the next shift, it's either 3 days or something, and they've got a whole new pile of stuff on their plate, and that probably doesn't happen. I'm not saying that they didn't review the report, they just might have missed it when they did review it. It happens.
And there again.
Especially when you're tired.
Yep, and I agree with
Yeah.
you. But there again, some of these could be, they marked the wrong box too. So, instead of 29 simultaneously incident reports, it could be only 18, because they checked, And I'm not saying.
Well, the
they didn't.
simultaneous are generated by the CAD system. That's not a box. That's,
Well, all I'm saying is it could happen the other way, so. you know, there again, it kind of, now I'm doubting some of this stuff here.
So what I would doubt, if anything, would be, you know, how many times where the TNFD responded to 24 of those incidents. You have to check a box specifically to say that we didn't send anybody to that call because we didn't have anybody available. So it could actually, you actually have to check a box and say, yes, we didn't send anybody there because we couldn't. So that number actually could be higher, that we didn't respond to, you know, 26 or something like that. Or we responded to 24. So you take, you subtract what you didn't go to. That's how that number is. We responded to 24. We could have been only responded to 20 of them because they didn't check that box. So there are others in here that...
They were both in so ladder 1 responded, and engine 3
Yes.
responded on September 8th to Laconia in car 3. And then, hold on, now I lost the other one.
I do have another question, but I want to throw a screen of thought.
Well, nothing there, John, so. And so on September 13th, ladder 1 and engine 3, the ambulance 1 responded to Franklin. So, I don't know if that's 4 engines responding, or is that 2, but you're only saying that we responded to 1. So,
That's
I'm just asking, you know.
I'll go reprint the report
Yeah.
and see what it says. And if it says differently than what I said, I'll send you a correction.
Well, I'm going by, I'm
Yeah.
reading here, and then I'm reading here. I do read those that you send, so.
And there again, when the engine and the ambulance responds out of town, is that just one call, or do you count that as,
So that's one,
the ambulance went to the same call?
Oh, when they got the same call, it's one call.
one incident.
I know, but it's still, you're taking the ambulance, so that should be, we're sending mutual aid ambulance there, and we're sending an engine there too.
They only took the ambulance because they were coming back from a hospital when they got that call, so that's how the ambulance ended up there. They met up with engine 3 on scene. Normally, if everybody was in the station, the ambulance would have stayed in the station.
I happen to be listening to the scanner.
Because what
and there were a lot of calls.
that tells me, if it's not like that, is when you send an ambulance and the ladder truck and an engine over there, that means we have nobody in town here on the ambulance.
Correct.
Correct, if I'm correct.
No,
No.
because we have called folks.
You have called people, but there's no reason for the ambulance to really be over there unless they ask for it, on a structure fire.
So, yeah, they were, so the ambulance out at the hospital,
Our ambulance was at the hospital,
yes.
okay?
Then Franklin had the fire. Our engine went to the fire. On the way back from the hospital, the ambulance met up with the engine to go to the fire. They met them at the fire, actually,
Instead of coming all the way back here.
Right.
because time-wise, it makes sense to do it that way. The ladder went there, I think it was on the 3rd or 4th alarm or something like that.
All right.
And God, I think we responded to Canterbury. Sorry.
But some of the concerns for that is resource availability, because now you have an ambulance committed where you could have 2 ambulances available in town to the call force to be able to operate, because now you have the 1 ambulance vehicle. Granted, your manpower, your shortage, and if it was a full turnout, there's a lot of variables here. But you have a resource that's out of town, unavailable, and what is 1 engine gonna do at the scene? I mean, I'm sorry, and this is where I have a concern, is a lot of the stuff where we have an officer driving an engine to a scene, and then if he gets a call, if he gets there, he's not gonna do anything except scene size up. He can do that from a pickup truck, and have an engine show up from someone, he could get a scene size up. He's not gonna,
Doesn't the engine have additional?
not when it has, when we have,
Additional equipment that they would possibly need as a scene?
when you have the manpower. which is an advantage of right now with the lieutenant having that, okay, they go to an EMS call.
Right.
It's deemed something where 2 personnel can transport. So then that officer's coming back with an engine, and then we get another call. Having an engine, he has some EMS equipment on board if it was a medical, or he has the apparatus there, but one person isn't gonna put out a fire by himself. You're dead manning the pump and all that.
But if you, let's just say, they're on a call with the engine, ambulance and engine, let's just say out where you live, because you live out on the other side of the world, and there's another call, you know, maybe just somewhere else in Northfield, or let's just say East Tilton somewhere. Let's just say the Econo Lodge, right? Let's just say there's a call there. So if he went out there in a pickup truck, and there's a second call, or maybe they just wrapped up the call, they're on the way to the hospital, wherever hospital they're going to go from your house. Now he has to come all the way back to the firehouse to get the fire truck. He's already got the equipment.
What's he gonna do with that equipment?
Well, maybe some of the call staff can meet them there, or, you know, if it's during the daytime, the chief and the deputy can respond to that call as well. You know, yes, they could drive the engine. I know you're gonna say that, I already read that in your mind, but, you know, you don't know where, you know, what can happen, but
So, whether the engine goes or not, or the ambulance goes on certain calls, it depends upon the circumstances at the time of the call comes in, and where they are and what they're doing beforehand. It's not something, first of all, this is an operational matter, and this is purely up to my purveyance. But I give a pretty good leeway to the shift commanders of how things are gonna happen during their shift. If there's a problem, they come and see me and we work it out. This is not a problem.
Okay, so it is operational, so it is based on your guidance, and I respect that. I'm looking at a call on September 4th. Engine 3 was dead manned on the scene because the full crew had to transport. Does our equipment lock up 100% so nothing can be pilfered on the scene?
Nope, nothing.
Okay, so that becomes a financial issue, that dead manning an engine out in the middle of nowhere without supervision, unless the police are gonna sit on it, becomes an issue for the district.
Yeah, and that's been going on since way before I came.
Just because it's tradition doesn't mean it should happen.
No, I agree, but we have no other way of doing that right now.
You could put 3 people on an ambulance and send them out and have the engine stay inside of a secured station.
Well, we don't know, that engine at that time was called to the scene afterwards, I think, or was out on doing something else.
So there could be a lot of circumstances, absolutely, so I respect that. But operationally, we dead manned an engine on the scene. People are gonna pilfer. It was 9-4, I don't wanna get into the address and all that stuff, but it was over on that side of Northfield. I'm just leaving it at that. So we dead manned an engine. We have a resource that the call force no one can use because it's sitting out in the middle of nowhere until someone gets to the station and can hop in with you to go and retrieve it.
Mhm. So the call force still has an engine, still has the ladder,
Sorry.
and another ambulance to the station that the call company goes to. So that engine is dead. Yes, it's out of commission because nobody's there to operate it, and it is. In fact, if the police aren't watching it, which they generally do,
Which is good.
Which is good. Yeah, somebody could go up and steal something out of it,
Right.
and if they knew how to drive it, they could drive it away too.
As a commissioner, I have an extreme concern with our vehicles getting dead manned and the way, yes, it is operational. However, we are putting a very expensive piece of equipment out in the middle of nowhere, unsecured, and who knows what could be taken from it. That does impact more than just the operational usage. That impacts the financial side. That's why we're looking at this and offering the guidance and things like that. And I understand what you're saying, how you operate your crews. I have an absolute problem with this, and I've heard from the public more than once, why are we sending an engine on a medical call? And yes, sometimes you need to because you don't know. For all I know, hey, when the call came in, it may have came in as just someone with difficulty breathing and then turned into a cardiac. Absolutely, where it could have been, oh, this is going to be a simple call, and then it's like, no, we're working this person. Absolutely, I understand all that side of it. we should be, our aging apparatus that are dying on the road on us, left and right, should be utilized on the road, emergency usage only, when they need to, when they're going over to Park Street to do truck checks and all that, they should be taking utilities and stuff. You should be minimizing the potential for those suckers to break down. Because they are just aged and breaking down on us. And there's so many times that I see an ambulance and an engine over at Park Street with the guys there with the rescue out and things like that doing the truck checks. You now have two pieces of apparatus there that you probably could save some miles, some gas, a lot of things if we had left the engine there. Because they could have gone 3 people over on the ambulance to do the truck checks. They could put all their gear in that ambulance, and then if they had a fire, they could respond with the engine that's over there very easily if it became, we needed that instead of an ambulance. It's minimizing those engines as much as we can, because you're coming up on budget season. The question is going to be, are you going to go for an ambulance or an engine? Because you most likely, the townspeople are not going to say both. And we're trying to maximize what we can. It just, the engine is out chasing the ambulance a lot. And if we can minimize that, I think is what we're hearing from people.
Like I said, we only send it on Delta and Echo calls that they really need to go. And sometimes when the ambulance gets unseen, they need help.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not what was dispatched to, or the person requires extra hands to move. So I don't see, what will change though, once we get the additional personnel on board,
Mm-hmm.
that won't happen anymore. Or I don't see it happening anymore. Maybe it could, but it would be a very rare occasion. And it's still fairly rare. I bet it happens less than once a month now.
Is it possible to cut down on the truck checks going over there, leaving the engine here, so that only one apparatus goes over there? Because a lot of times when I go by from the other meetings, I see both of them there, and I know they're doing truck checks, the weekly truck checks and stuff.
Truck checks, training.
Right, but, once again, leave the engine here, and at least 3 people. It's just that optic of cutting back and trying to maintain that thing as much as possible. So if we don't need to send it, is that a function that we can do to try to maintain the engine? So especially that, well, it's broken down again. Well, yeah, because it's traveling this, and this, and this. So
I'll discuss it at our next officers meeting and
Okay,
see if we
thank
come
you.
up with a better way.
You know, there's another way to turn that around. You said they went on a medical call and left the engine. What if it was vice versa? They took the engine, left the ambulance there. You know,
The ambulance is
ambulance
locked
can
up.
walk up.
It's totally lockable.
it can be broke into. Yeah, and I tell you, this happened years and years ago. I remember going to a call. They left the ambulance in the parking lot and went on a fire call. They didn't lock the back door.
No, there's
There's drugs in there.
One button on that locks the whole thing,
Yeah.
and the drugs are locked.
And I understand that.
Yeah.
You can't get in there.
And usually they try to take the drugs with them.
No, they say locked in the lock
They
cabinet.
stayed in the lock.
And it's very secure, so yeah, absolutely. On that side, the ambulances, the way they are nowadays, yeah, they can be secured, absolutely. So that's why I'm not as, I don't like the idea of it, but they can be locked up and secured. But the apparatus, you could pay for that, to have them electric lock everything, but no.
It's very easy to open the compartment, take whatever you want.
No, you could order an engine and have where everything locks up on it,
Wow.
unless, except the stuff that's attached to
It's
the
Right.
very, very
Exterior.
expensive. It's very expensive.
Exactly.
And it's just something else that would be very
Breakdown.
Yeah.
breakdown,
Yeah. So,
because they're not really designed to do that.
Right.
They'll make it do it for a year.
But like inner city and stuff like that, that's a feature you could pay for, but we don't want to pay for that.
I can tell you, John, that I was involved in a call in September, and they walked, so. It was a Delta call. And the
the staff.
and the staff walked, so. They walked across the street,
Yeah,
so.
alright,
Okay,
I think we beat that one.
Moving on, apparatus. Cartry had the rocker panels repaired, and it passed inspection after the rocker panels were repaired.
Where was the work done on that?
On,
Was it up in Northfield?
They have.
yeah, Bay Hill Road.
All right, no, that's
10 or
all.
12 Bay Hill Road.
That answers the question.
Yep.
So, a question of the public.
He said it was a lot worse than what he thought, but he didn't charge us anymore, so that was good. The CO problem in A2 has been addressed,
Excellent.
and it has not duplicated, so we're good to go on that. We put new front tires on A1, and
Which is the Ford?
A1 is the
A1.
Ford.
Okay.
And when I wrote this, engine 3 was actually out of service due to the cab block being broken, but the parts were ordered and it's back in service now.
So curiosity on the CO problem, were they able to find, was it a piping break or was it rerouting?
There was a clamp that was loose in the exhaust system, and they said they tightened the clamp, so.
Okay, nice.
Moving on to the training burn, as you all know, we have a link on our website that you can watch the Chronicle section of it. They were there. We burned 3 houses, Franklin, Sanditon, Belmont, Laconia, Guilford, Canterbury, and of course us were there. WMUR was there and they filled the segment. It came out really nice. The fire marshal, Paul Parisi, was there and he's very complimentary of the event. And I can't say enough about Deputy Joubert. He coordinated a very, very, very complicated training day, and he spent countless hours planning it, helping prepare all the houses. On Saturday, a bunch of us were hanging drywall because of somebody at Department of Environmental Services found joint compound in 1% of one wall that had higher than 1% asbestos. And he made the contractor rip all the drywall out, which makes the house almost useless for us. So Home Depot donated $600 worth of sheetrock, and we went in Saturday, hung sheetrock in 2 of the 3 houses. One house didn't have it. And the funny thing that the guy at DES was saying, I'm trying to protect the firefighters. I says, the firefighters are fully protected with, self-contained breathing apparatus and all that stuff. But the guys that ripped them out of the house, they just walked in and was wearing nothing, just ripping the. It didn't make any sense. And but there was a lot of good hard work put in by a lot of people to make this happen, and most importantly, Deputy Joubert.
Does the district have a certificate of appreciation to wrap it up?
We're taking care of that. It'll be at our next public.
Well, also, I was thinking for the Home Depot also for the
Yep.
sheetrock.
We're taking care of all that stuff. COVID-19, again, no employees have been exposed. Center Street, nothing to report. Park Street, the contractors are online getting ready to do the work on the bathroom. The compressor's been installed, it's working properly. Radio system, the next meeting of the Zoning Board of Adjustment is the end of this month on the 26th, the day before our next budget workshop.
Park Street, you said they're starting to work on the bathroom?
Lighting, get the contractors all lined up. to do it.
You're
It hasn't-
still assigning, or,
Yes.
okay.
First thing, we have the concrete cutter coming in to cut the concrete out so that we can put the new drains in for the shower and stuff
Yeah.
like that. What else?
I thought you said you spent money on that project already.
Haven't spent a penny, just lining things up, getting contractors lined up. Gonna widen the door, have to move the toilet, install the, first remove all the concrete, widen the door, move the commode, install the new shower, plumb it all before you put all that stuff in underneath the drains and stuff like that. Redo the cement on the floor.
Just
And put the grab rails in, the appropriate grab rails in to make the commode ADA and the door wide enough and to have the clearance for wheelchairs and all that stuff. It's Captain Ames is in charge of the project, and he showed me the plans, it looks pretty good. And we'll make it legal. Let's see, what else, where are we?
12.
Yep, as I sent you all an email concerning probationary fire, Remick has resigned his position, and his position has been posted. And a process will be conducted for hiring a new one, and hopefully to have him on by mid-November. Hopefully sooner if I could, but that's more realistic date. We do have one call company application in process. Hopefully, the problem we're having with Occ Health is they're not doing the pulmonary function tests. Because the room that they have is not a negative pressure room. And so this is a problem we're having with Occ Health. And so I called some of the other departments. They're just not doing them right now. Hopefully, by the middle of November, they've moved that Occ Health function to the Concord Hospital in a new building that they're arranging that does have a negative pressure room so that we can do those tests. But all the fire departments around are like, what the hell? But it's kind of out of our control. It's because of COVID, because you're exhaling right in front of a nurse or a technician that's running the machine. Of course, the fire station, there's no money appropriated for any fire station engineering or design in this budget. Currently working on the SAFER grant implementation process, which we'll discuss, the hiring process, and a Center Street modification, which we'll discuss when we get to that in the thing. Working on the 2021 budget. Again, call company recruitment. Have a couple of prospects out there, maybe they're going to apply. And the capital improvement program, as you know, we're scheduled to buy a new ambulance next year, but we all know we need a new engine and a new car 3. Discussing with all the officers, the priority that we've come up with is that we need an engine more than an ambulance, and so if we're going to ask, in my budget, I'm asking for an engine and an ambulance, and we can afford both of those, but if we only get one, it would be the engine. And the next meeting, November 10th. Any questions? Okay.
Okay, I guess we move on now to old business. Warrant articles, bylaws, process review.
I think this is in question, going to a 5-member board of commissioners from a 3. Kathy did most of the research on this, but it appears that this board has to remain a 3-member board because the RSA says that only village districts in the towns of Merrimack or Hooksett can have a 5-member board. That's how the RSA works.
No, I know, it's just like, okay, why Merrimack and Hooksett and no one
That
else?
is strange why they would allow
There
them.
must have been something previously that,
Somehow they got an exception through RSA 670:2-A.
In the inception, probably.
Yeah.
Or they had 5-member boards when the law was passed, and that's how they got the exception, perhaps.
Well, they were towns, because when it says the village districts versus the towns.
Well, it's a village district within that town.
So Kathy had emails going back and forth between DRA and New Hampshire Municipal Association, and I believe those are in your packet. They're pretty much self-explanatory.
So there's no way we can,
No, there is none.
it's done and over with.
Yeah.
That answers that question.
We'll annex ourselves to.
Okay, that answers the bylaws, the 5-member district website.
So we have brought up the district website in the past of just marketing it more. Like an example is putting the Chronicle notice up there as a quick link for people to see. Highlighting some of our stuff. We have pictures in there of our apparatus from very old. And it's like this training burn. The Chronicle have some photos, some maybe highlight different members of the district of their birthday month or something like that. Just trying to get that public awareness and draw them in a little bit more as much as we can. Going out when Deputy Juber goes out and does the fire prevention stuff, posting some of those things like that, with October being Fire Prevention Month. Just everything we can do to try and better market the successes of the district. And that's one of the things that we brought up before, is the chief wasn't quite, he's not as good with the Facebook side of things, which he wants to stay out of it, and I respect that absolutely, because it can be painful. But seeing if maybe we have a one of our firefighters or something is kind of like, is very savvy in electronics and how to do this stuff, kind of take that on as a kind of an additional role, and that's where we're kind of bringing it to the table to see, and with the chief.
If you go, I've been thinking about this, and I think having the website be robust is good, but I also think that there should be a focused effort on Facebook, because you can share that more, you can get that word out more. However, it shouldn't be an employee, a line employee. It should be an administrative that takes care of that, only because of disgruntled employees, that type of thing, where all of a sudden you can leave yourself in the side. I've seen it done where the company I previously worked for, the top person was responsible for the Facebook page, and they locked the company out of it and started posting all sorts of slanderous stuff about the company. And they were, it took like 10 days to get it resolved through Facebook. Like, they had to submit stuff saying, we are the true owners of this, and this is a disgruntled employee. So I just, whether it's the chief, the deputy.
I'm not putting in a deputy.
So,
The deputy has too much.
no, but
already.
I'm just saying, someone, it just, and even where I work now, I'm responsible for the Facebook page, and the owner does not want, he only wants certain people to have access to it, because, again, he's worried about, someone going out and saying something wrong, posting inappropriate material if they're not happy with something. So it falls on me most of the time, and his son. So just something, I'm not saying go get Instagram, go get this, go get that. Facebook seems to be
It's the thing for now, unfortunately.
well, it is what it is, and I just get leery if you have too many people.
Right, we should, that's why someone within the
And
district kind
I
of being.
think it's in the bylaws that the commissioners are responsible for the content on the website.
It says on the website.
It says on the website.
Not other media.
Yeah. And does that cover Facebook then? Does that?
It's just on the website.
Right. That's how I would look at that, is just on our district website, not
Yeah.
other media.
No, but you don't, you just want to make sure that, God, if someone hates you know, this candidate A and this candidate B, and all of a sudden I start posting oops, I made a mistake, you know, I thought it was my personal page.
Right. You have to have good guidance to whoever's doing it and checks and balances in there.
But the other side of it is our Facebook, our website, you know, has the basic information. The only thing I wish is that the meetings and notices were a little bit more prominent, because I have to scroll down. I'm lazy. I have to scroll down to see it. And, you know, sometimes it looks, I know, I'm sorry.
And it's trying to find
but
the
it's,
minutes
but
too.
it's
just
it's
the
top of
format how we
page.
deal
Think of
with
a newspaper. You know, the big thing on a newspaper was to be above the fold.
it. Right.
You know, and that's because that's what people see,
Right.
and you know they don't want to scroll down. And I get it at work. We get it at work all the time. Like if you just scroll,
People want to find it with 3 clicks. They
less
want
than 3
everything to be
clicks.
found in 3 click. Click.
Okay, so the quick news can be moved around.
Yeah, just
For the-
I'm just not sure. Are
notices.
you good with the? I'm not very good when it comes to websites. I don't do that side of things.
I have been doing it because
I-
no one else.
I do the website at work too.
So I didn't set up the website.
Now, the
Tim
part-time
Pearson
couldn't do
did.
something like that? She could not handle something like that?
She doesn't have the time right now to do that.
And our focus should be on the public.
Okay.
Yes. So, like I said, I can rearrange the little quick bar on the side so that the meetings are up top and stuff like that, because right now it's, let's see.
And just getting more media. I mean, more pictures and stuff. People love seeing that. I mean, when we do the birthday parties and stuff, doing the promos.
Yeah, because we don't have many pictures on there now.
No.
It's only what Tim built, I can't
A
get it.
while ago.
It was a while ago.
Right.
And,
It's before I was here.
like it says on the web page, it's you, the board, is supposed to tell me
Yeah.
what you want on there, and
And
nobody ever has.
And that's kind of why I was bringing it up is for that marketing, bringing up like the station meetings and our meetings and just the birthday parties. Someone posted, hey, how with COVID I can't get out, is it possible to get the fire department to drive by? And we do have it on our page where if they can, they could send an engine there to try and make it memorable. And
Wait,
it's
wait,
not-
wait,
doesn't
wait,
say
wait,
that.
wait,
No, it
doesn't
doesn't.
say that.
It does not say that.
I just have to
Okay.
ask this one question.
It
I
doesn't.
really do. I really
Because
do.
we're not really doing.
You
the
just said
birthday
something
drive-bys.
about not having the engine go on calls, and now you want to send them to birthday parties?
Not that often, no. You could do it with the ambulance too. It's just we're trying to do the public awareness and public relations piece of it. Because you do send them to the school for the school days, and so that would be nice to have pictures of what they do there. That's the type of stuff to
So
show off.
I understand what you're saying, but until the COVID thing is over, we're not doing any of it.
And I
the
expect
school
that to-
doesn't want us there
No.
either.
No, we're not doing any of the school functions, but the things
And
that,
the birthday drive-bys, we started doing them, but then it got ridiculous.
Mhm.
okay.
People were requesting drive-bys for not little kids.
All kids are hard, Chief.
I swing by my house the other day, wasn't even my birthday.
No, they were just checking on you, just to make sure.
At least make sure you're still breathing.
Now the plane crash, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just trying to get this thing a
Was
little
that
bit
big?
more robust. And like I said, it's fire prevention month. Are you checking your smoke detectors? Things that we used to do, the old, back long ago when we used to do the fire musters and things like that, and the Claremont parade.
We had the day where we go out and go to a lot of elderly and those housing projects, and we give them smoke detectors or
Yep.
carbon monoxide, install them, if they need
Yep.
batteries changed. We do all that stuff, but not right now.
And I respect that, but
Yeah.
are we marketing that we're doing all that stuff?
No, we don't really.
That's the whole part I'm trying to get at, is that we market all this stuff of showing all the great things you guys are doing, all the efforts put in, because people don't see that. All they see is, it's like, we want your money, and that's all they see, and they see, like I said, an engine and ambulance. There's so much more going on with
Yeah,
trainings
Yeah.
and stuff.
baby car seats and all that
Yes.
stuff. I know.
but marketing it, because otherwise it didn't happen in their minds.
No, I get it. It's just having the right person to be able to do that stuff. And
Right.
I'll be the first to admit I'm not I can do a lot of things, that's just not one of them I picked up over the, and I'm over 60 now and I don't want to pick it up, to be honest with you.
But it's something to look at through our force to see where we could, to the best of our ability.
Well,
Yes.
we're having another meeting, I'll ask to see if anybody wants to volunteer to kind of do that kind of stuff, but. we'll see what happens. I'm trying to think who would do.
That's the Wi-Fi here, because I'm not getting nothing.
Yeah, it's the Wi-Fi.
Okay, new business. Deposition report?
What's a disposition report?
That is a monthly report that we received from Comstar on outstanding bills. And we have a current and a cumulative every month. Normally, Paul is the chair, sits down with me, and we decide, you know, do we write them off, do we send them to collections? As you know, residents are written off.
Right.
However, any resident that the insurance company sends the money to,
Correct.
we send them to collections. Usually the ones that are written off are the elderly, like the Beck's home. If they have a small, you know, Medicare doesn't pay it all, they'll have a small amount left, that's written off. Age is taken into consideration. We don't want to overtax the elderly. And, you know, that's what that is.
And the only thing we found, we've known this for a long time, a lot of people, their insurance companies will pay them. You may get a check for, we take you to the hospital, $1,500, you get the check, we'll never see it.
Right. Right.
And we send them to collections.
We send them to collection,
Yeah,
but
because that money was
don't know.
earmarked for the payment.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's just sent to the, pay them versus the.
Right.
And we went through this with, I think, the insurance companies once, and there was nothing they could do. One insurance company, they said they
No,
would,
the insurance companies don't want to do that because they want to force us into signing an agreement with the insurance companies. Each individual insurance companies want us to sign an agreement with them saying that we just take the minimum. They'll pay us every single time, they'll send a check to us, but it'll be for peanuts
A
or
lot of
pennies on the dollar.
A lot of the problem too is in the state of New Hampshire, the insurance companies are supposed to pay us directly.
Yep.
That's
However,
the law.
if the insurance company is located outside the state of New Hampshire, they will not send the check to us, they will send the check to the insured.
Yep.
So you could live in the town of Tilton, your insurance is in the state of Minnesota, they're gonna send the check to you. And hopefully you will
Do the right thing.
do the right thing.
And pass
So-
it along.
Right.
So our billing agency knows when that happens and they send a letter right away to you, say you're the person, just example.
Here's your check, but it's earmarked
You
for
gotta,
this.
you gotta, no, they say, we know you received the check from your insurance company, but this is the bill that you still owe, and that was what the check was for, so please write us a check for that
Okay.
amount to defray the cost of the ambulance service that you were provided with.
and you know, believe it or not, there's a lot of money that I don't know how many we get from collections after they go after it. I don't know if we get the
well,
majority of it, or
Well,
a lot of money we don't get.
that's what kind of led to this whole question, because it came up on September 3rd where it was mentioned about the disposition report. Because it's a financial thing, and I understand you're the chair, but shouldn't all three commissioners be discussing that in non-public because of the funding, rather than one representation deciding funds in or out? It should be the body. That's part of the reason why I had it put on here. I know that would mean non-public and longer meetings, but
Well, years ago, it was decided that the chair would handle those
Policy of
decisions.
the board made that
Yes.
decision.
okay, well, that was years ago, and what is the process to make, because I'd make a motion that all three board members get together for that.
I have no problem with it at all. I mean, I don't. Because there are some that,
Right.
borderline.
And you don't want to be the only one making that determination.
because my name is at the bottom.
Well, unfortunately, it still will be the chair, you'll
I
still be
know.
the name at the bottom, but then it is a decision made by the body of the board versus the one person of the board.
I agree.
That's why when my ears perked up when it was brought up on September 3rd, it's like, we need to kind of follow up on that one. I think that's my 2 cents in it, is that I think that it's to cover the body of the board. Yes, you are the figurehead, the chairperson, and you still get to sign. But now you're not the only one making that decision.
Yeah. Hey, it makes no difference to me. All three of us can look at it. I really don't
It
care.
just has to be
Okay,
done
now
in
this
non-public.
brings up another,
Okay.
you meet once a month. Those need to be dealt with in a timely manner.
Okay.
They come in around the middle of the month, and then they're gonna sit there until the next month when you meet.
Okay.
So are you gonna wanna start meeting twice a month? To deal with this kind of stuff?
I think that it's a suck factor. It's not something I want to do, but I think that it should be the board as a body reviewing those. Because we did discuss, one time back when I first started, we did have a meeting where we went non-public and we discussed a couple of them because there was concerns. So I knew there was disposition reports out there. I didn't realize they were still going on a frequent basis.
It's
And
monthly.
okay,
Every month.
but I wasn't tracking that
Yeah.
until you mentioned it on September 3rd. I'm like, I remember that from that time when all the board members did at that time. And I think even if we have to meet twice a month for a special meeting for that, because it does have to be non-public, which is going to extend the regular meeting, and it could be a shorter meeting for the but it has to be not. I think it's the proper thing to do, is my 2 cents.
Makes no difference to me.
More time, unfortunately, but it's the proper thing to do.
And Eric is going, oh, another meeting.
I know.
Well, I know when I first got on the board, we had an issue with collections, or I don't know, if collections is the right word. Money owed to us, and we had to write off, we had to write, don't quote me, but
That's correct.
it was like over
I think that's
$60,000.
maybe that I might have- one of those meetings
It was
I
like over
attended.
$60,000, it was like a big amount.
Right, because
It was just years and years and
it
years.
was years and years, and we had to do it to get everything up to
Because we
date.
wanted accurate numbers.
Right.
So, I guess my question is, where is that number today, do we know? This disposition,
I can't get on the internet.
yeah.
I tried.
Down at Tilton.
No, I'm gonna,
I tried to log, I tried to get into my reports, and
yeah,
I'll try again, but no promises,
I'm
okay?
gonna text.
A lot of them though, and I'm not doing this because I want to do it myself, because I don't care,
No.
one way or the other. But a lot of them are residents
Mhm.
that pay $800. That's all their Medicare or their insurance will pay. So we write them off. I go in there and say, I would not make a resident of this community pay. If they're a resident, if they didn't have any money, they would not have to pay.
Mhm.
So a lot of them are then there. And there's a few out there that, very few,
I just texted
a
you.
handful maybe, that we go after. They're out of
That
state,
appears to be down in town.
and we do go after them. We do.
Yep. I remember the 1 or 2 meetings, that's what was part of it, that we were
Yeah.
dealing with exactly, where they received the check and they didn't send it and things
Yeah.
like that. It's just,
Hey, it makes no difference. I'm
Yeah.
just telling you.
it's just where the financial side of things, it's the whole board as a body. Because otherwise, it's just one board member. Yes, you are the chair, but it's one, do the 2 other board members agree with that write-off? 99% of the time, I'm thinking the same way you are on that, but
I don't care. Like I said, if you want to do that, it makes no difference to me.
Well, so you said you get these in the middle of the month, is it pretty consistent, you get it on the 15th of every month, or do you get it on the
I
Is
got,
it something
I
that
got
can
the,
wait for our meeting?
I'm
or-
expecting it anytime now. I got the one for August, September 8th. So it's around the middle of the month. So, and I usually, that brings up another thing, I do a manifest middle of the month. So, now you're talking, you know, if you're gonna have a second meeting,
When do you have it?
when do you have it?
Yes.
I'm free on the third Tuesday of the month.
Too late.
Well, depends on one. November, how long do you have to go over these?
Well, when they come in, I usually review them.
Right.
And I look at, you know, the age of the patient that we transported. And
I wouldn't even suggest emailing that because that's.
we can't
No,
email
you
that.
can't,
No,
it has to be
no.
in person.
Yeah,
No, I know, but just to like prepare, so you can say, come in and prepare and go, okay, you know, person A, B, C, okay, we'll take care of that, E has to pay, F, G, you can't because it's,
Yeah.
that's just.
for September, the third Tuesday of the month would work. But we've already gone by there. October, the third Tuesday is too late. uh, The problem that we're running into, if the third Tuesday would be okay except for the manifest. Because we have the credit cards now rather than a debit card. And those bills are due prior to the 26th of the month,
So what are
which
you
means the
looking-
third Tuesday would be pushing it really tight for it to arrive in time so that we don't get hit with penalties.
So. Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, I can't do Thursdays.
Wednesdays are better for, don't you have Tilton, your selectmen?
That's Thursday.
Oh, that's Thursday, no.
Thursday, Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Is your golf season done?
Almost.
How many more weeks?
It is now.
Goes to the end of October.
Okay, so just this month? Okay, all right.
It is New England, you know, they can't play golf forever.
So is
Unless it's
Wednesdays,
Cape Cod.
Wednesdays a potential for the commissioners, starting in November?
When did Budget Committee meet last year?
They changed, they bounced around.
It's you know, and that's the thing that,
Uh,
that's another thing
I
that
do.
at their first meeting, they're gonna have to figure out. They started with Tuesdays, and then at one point they had to flip to Thursday for something, and then I think they flipped back to Tuesday.
Yeah.
They're fluid.
Because if we were to put like a second one in the month, like the second or third Wednesday, I don't know when your stuff comes in, you know better than I do on what works on
Right.
that. But then in then our regular meeting, do you think that would give enough coverage?
If we do like, okay, so
Because the other meeting where if it's just a special non-public meeting